What is up, Axiie fam? You read the title of the video, so let's get going to it. Alright, so one thing that people ask me a lot, either in my Discord group or when they hire me for consulting is, what is a good team for me to breed and also get scholars at the same time? That is such a common question, and with most things in life, there is not just one answer for it, because there's a lot of things you have to consider when you want to breed and when you want to have a scholarship. So first of all is the actual breed profitable? Second of all, is the team easy enough? Because some teams can be expensive, but if they are too hard to use, the value that you're paying for it doesn't necessarily translate into your scholars being able to fully utilize it, unless you hire a coach, and then that is more expenses and things that you have to care about if you want to start your own scholarship. I think the most important part of this equation is profitability and how easy the axies are to use. And there's this one rule that I use that kind of ties everything together, and I'm gonna teach you for free here. So this is the team that I'm using right now, and the real cool thing about this team that I'm using right now is, as you can see, well, I guess I can open the team here. So as you can see, this axiie and this axiie, they only differ in one skill. And this is amazing when you have scholarships in mind, because what this means is you can have 2 farms instead of having 3 farms. And what I mean by that is the following. Well, this axiie is totally different, right? So if you want to be breeding everything that you're also giving your scholars, you probably need a farm only for this aqua. But because the genes here are so similar, it doesn't really matter whether you get the snail shell axiie or whether you get the garish worm axiie. Well, the garish worm is more expensive, I'll tell you that. But when you actually get offsprings, you can then choose in the marketplace whether you want to buy the garish worm or the snail shell. Let me show you, because it might be kind of hard to understand the way that I'm talking. So let's go into the marketplace. Let's look for garish worm. When I go for this exact build, the floor costs 0.1 Ethereum, but we imagine that we got some eggs. All right, we got some eggs, and they can either look like this guy or like this guy. So in general, we're gonna have pretty constant mouth, horns, and tail, but our backs are gonna differ in between snail shell and garish worm. If I actually try and buy one of these axies right now, the cheapest one I can get with garish worm costs 0.1. If I actually take garish worm here and I go for snail shell, I can find, so in this case, they actually don't differ that much, but there's one important aspect to realize here. This axiie is, so it has perfect parasite, it has perfect snail shell, pretty shitty fish snack, and almost perfect pincer. So it has 3 impurities, 2 are 1s and 1 are 2. If we go back to the garish worm, and we go here, you're gonna see that the floor to breed of these axies is much worse. The fish snack is terrible, the pincer is terrible, and even garish worm has impurities, so only parasite is perfect. So for pretty much the same amount of price, I'm getting like very shitty genes here in comparison to the other one, and that allows you to kind of save a little bit, not only with the amount of AXS and SLP and axies that you're gonna have to hold. Alright, so I get the feeling I didn't explain myself really well, so let me show you again what I'm trying to say. The reason it's actually easier and cheaper to breed and have scholars the way I'm talking about is that you can have one farm with, you can start with 2 axies that look like this one, and you can start with 2 axies, one that looks like this one that looks like this one, and whatever combination you get out of these 2, it doesn't matter, because it's going to be useful for your scholars, or you can then sell it once you have enough scholars, or whatever else happens. This means you only need 4 axies to start your farm / your scholarship program, whereas if you wanted to have 3 very different axies, let's say a plant, this bird, or whatever combination of different axies you wanted, you would need more money. And also in general, teams that have very similar axies are much easier to play with. If we think back of season 18, when it was kind of popular to see triple plants and triple aquas, they were the most brain dead axies, and they were popular because they were easy, so you could spend very little money, and as a manager you would use way less money, because if you think about it, if you need 3 farms, you're gonna be spending 3 times the SLP and AXS every time your offspring spawns. And that also means that you're gonna have to probably buy parents for each of these, unless you have an ABCD farm for each type of axiie, which is a lot of money. I imagine most people watching here, they don't have money for that type of operation, because you're looking at 20k USD depending on the axies that you're actually breeding for your scholars. So yeah, I really like this type. I'm not the biggest fan of having scholars. I do have a couple, but I think a lot of people they think scholars are more easy to execute and are more profitable than they actually are. I personally think it actually consumes a lot of my time, and I pretty much just have friends and people that I know are very good with axiie, so I do share my axies with them, and I think that's a very good way for them to eventually enter the space when they gather more money. But it's not something that I like super push for. But in this season, I just love this team, and I think it's a very it is profitable enough, and I don't think it is going to become an obsolete team in the next 2 or 3 months, which looks like a decent time frame for me. This is going to be a lot of breedings until I might have to start selling them or consider pivoting towards something else. But there's more teams that actually fit this criteria, and I want to share them with you. So as you guys know, I love this website, X Infinity XYZ. Make sure to donate to these guys, because they're amazing. They actually got freaking destroyed by the API changes. Even my bot got a little bit destroyed by it too, so I think they really need all the support that they can get. But anyways, look at this axiie. So Beach, Serious, Pumpkin Yam, and then look at this axiie, Leafbug, Serious, Pumpkin Yam. Do you see what I mean? Like, this is so good. I think the problem with this theme specifically is that especially this plant, it is very cheap, maybe too cheap. When we're talking about bugs, the 2 bugs I was showing, they cost about 0.1 Ethereum. So when you actually get to a certain level of purity with those bugs, you're pretty much always printing money, because there's going to be demand for them. Whereas with plants, this plant is tried and tested. There's a shitload of them in the marketplace, so they are very cheap. But the concept I'm trying to teach is pretty much the same, and I often talk to people when they come for me for consulting. You really need to find a good balance between the actual price of the axies you're going to be giving away for your scholarships, so that the breed itself is profitable, but you don't want to go super high, because if you're already in a 0.2 0.3 territory of axies, they never really stay that price forever. The reason axies like that get expensive is because there's not a lot in the marketplace, and eventually someone's gonna reach that printer status. They're gonna sell it in the market, and eventually it's gonna be flooded. And if you're not one of the first persons to start that, you might lose money. You're probably gonna spend a lot of money to get to decent percentage of purity within your axies. So yeah, this video is supposed to be really quick. I love telling people and explaining to them how breeding works and how to join this space. I think breeding right now is really competitive. That's why I created my bot. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that you're gonna become really rich or a millionaire like Whoop-de-Doo was, but I do think there is definitely a way for you to have a lot of fun, make some money in the process if you know what you're doing, and still play with your friends, create a scholarship, create a community. And to me, that is what Axiie is all about. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Have a good one. This video is, as always, sponsored by the only brand that likes to sponsor us, which is my own brand, my bot. So check it in the description, join our Discord server. It is free. There's a lot of cool people there, and maybe if you like the vibe, you also purchase our bot. It really helps, because every day I get messages from very weird and shady crypto sponsors trying to make me shove something down your throats, and I really don't like that. I know I complain about not having a sponsor all the time, but this is not a call to arms for shitty sponsors. I really care about everyone that watches here, and the reason I push my bot so much is that I really truly believe it is the cheapest, fastest, best way for you to increase your breeding profits. So thank you so much. Have a good one, guys. Bye.